Do the records contain a blueprint for your future? Welcome back to the show. I am so happy to be here with Mary Madeiras, who I had a conversation with last month about her new book, The Akashic Way, and she was so kind to come back on and chat with me. How you doing, Mary?
I'm doing great. I'm glad you had me back.
Well, I really appreciate it. I wanted to have a chat with you because soon after we had our conversation, I had an Akashic record reading with you, and someone very close to me also had an Akashic record reading with you, and it was two very different things, and we
Mhm.
both went into it in very different ways, but it was so impactful for both of us. And I kind of wanted to have a conversation about what it was like generically in case other people are very interested, because this is the next realm, I think, of divine interaction because it's real.
Yeah, it's very real. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, ask away.
Okay. So I went in and I have had Akashic record readings in the past, some good, some so not so good. And it's not like an astrological reading or a human design reading. It is a conversation. And so when I went in to this records reading with you, I had like a long list of questions. Like, this is what I want to know. This is what this is what I want
Mhm.
clarity on and everything. And it was very much more of a conversation with you. It was like having a conversation with you as opposed to
Right.
someone who channels strictly and their voice changes.
Mhm.
So
Um
is that common?
so it felt like you were having a conversation with me because what I'm hearing, well, let me back into this. So, your questions to your own Akashic records are what is happening. Your own questions are going to that divine imprint of you, right? And then what happens is the divine moves on the spoken word. So as you're asking questions, this is why it's important to come with questions. Um, when you ask a question, your own imprint sends blocks of thought to me because the way that it's set up in those moments, you're not sitting there hearing it. You could, if you open up your own records, you'd be hearing thoughts or maybe you'd see things depending. People hear the records differently. So I'm giving the records permission in a sense, or divine permission, and I'm committing to showing up for the highest good of that individual, in your case, you. So I have a commitment and a desire to be, in a sense, of service to divine itself, right? And divine is not some, I always say, bearded man in the clouds. It is the source, which is love itself, the essence of everything. And so I surrender to it. I also say sacred prayer, but I surrender to it. And then as you ask a question, or anyone whose records I'm in asks a question, I hear thoughts. They send me, ask her this, or something. It could be words. Sometimes I see a past life. And so I convey it. So it's a live essence basically running through me. It's not talking to me and then I interpret it and talk to you. And I think that's what you're getting at.
Yes.
No, I'm not. I Part of my prayer and part of my intention and part of my raising my vibration before reading is to take myself out of it, meaning my ego. That's part of my prayer. Is that I'm I'm no ego. My ego would interpret first if my ego were there, but it's not. But the rest of me is there. My way of speaking, my heart, my love of people. That's what I bring to the records, the way that I think. They're using the way I think. And that's probably to some degree what happens with psychics. You know, a psychic, although some psychics are interpreting, but then some I think we were chatting about this earlier. Some will their voices change. So an entity or something is actually coming through them. That's a whole different thing that's happening. And hopefully when it happens with the right people, it's real, right? I'm not going to doubt that. But with the records, basically, you, in your case, are accessing your own imprint. And that imprint is already there, which contains everything about you, everything that you've lived, lifetime after lifetime, including this lifetime up until now. And it contains future possibilities and probabilities. So you're activating it. It's an activation. Maybe that's the best word to use for this. So you're activating it, and I'm in on it with you, so to speak. And so I'm hearing and conveying, and because the divine does move on the spoken word. So divine itself, I want to say, is running the show. It sounds like it's some entity outside of us, but the divine in us is the power. And so the records are us. Each one of our Akashic records is who we are. It's not outside of us. It's inside us and outside us at the same time. And so that full imprint that exists it contains everything about us that maybe we've forgotten, or maybe we've gotten a little bit off track to what our soul's journey is, chosen journey. So what the records
Mm.
do when we're speaking and divine is moving through is we're feeling this sense, and I don't know if you could share this, but for me and my records, I start to feel like I'm coming back into, like, I just feel better. And I know why I feel better, because I'm hooking back into why I'm here. And then my life gets easier or clearer. I know what to do. When I go back to my projects, they move more smoothly. Things fall into place nicely. And I do believe it's because I'm coming back, if it's me, coming back into this alignment, this remembering who I am.
Oh, I like that. It
Yeah.
feels almost as when you have this Akashic record reading, at least for me, I was trying to pull information out of the records as much as it was trying to pull the divine out of myself. It was very
Yeah.
much a give and take situation.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe it felt like pulling the divine out of yourself, but showing you your divine, mirroring your divine. Um,
Yes.
which is interesting because I'm going to leap to AI. AI claims to mirror who we are.
They do,
That's
and
not
it
what
does
it's doing.
not. It's not
No.
what it's
So
doing.
so the divine is basically showing us who we are because it's etched in that quantum field. And so all it's doing is, and what makes it happen is the intention, the lining up the intention. The asking is what makes it happen. Ask and it is given. That is Abraham Hicks talks about that. Though that's their book. Ask and it is given. That's true. If we're asking our higher self, it already is in us. That's our divine technology.
Okay, but wait, what if you are going in because this person that was very close to me, whereas I was very overly prepared, they were like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to wing it. And I was like, oh, don't wing it. You got to know
Mm-hmm.
something. But they went in kind of cold. Do you have that happen often? And does an Akashic reading still work really well if they come in cold and are just sitting there like, I don't know what to ask?
Okay, so the first thing to think about, let's define coming in cold.
Okay.
So if somebody just opens their records or comes to the records and they just go, I don't know, let's just see what happens. Okay,
Mm.
probably nothing's going to happen. But if somebody comes in a sense, first of all, somebody comes to the records, they're coming for a reason. Now, they might be coming because they're a skeptic. I've only had that happen once
Mm.
since 2008. And the records handled it beautifully because I was in the records of the skeptic. So it was just really trippy, wonderful how this man's own records guided him to really show him that he was covering up his own love of himself. And that's why he was skeptical. So, and that's love in action, right? So coming in cold, I think I know the person you're referring to, and he may have come in. First of all, there was a desire to come to his records. So that's there, because I am not going to open the records for anybody that is not desiring to open their records. I'm not going to do that, because that's sort of, it's just wrong, I guess, for me. But what he did was, he didn't just sit there and not say anything. The records began to show me a little bit about him. I got hits on things. That will happen sometimes when a person is quiet at first and I say the prayer and I open their records because they want to be there. That I know. Then what can happen is, as I'm saying the prayer, I begin to get downloads of some things about that person. And so what I'll do sometimes is just, I'm guided, I write them down, and then I'm guided to bring one up. It never fails. For the quiet one, when I bring something up that's come through, bam, everything opens. And then they're like, well, I meant to ask you, I'd like to ask about this, or are my records this, and all these questions come. And the questions trigger the opening, which then triggers that person to receive the clarity through their own processing it. It's not me. And the records don't tell us what to do. So maybe I want to say, when the fact that somebody comes to the Akashic Records on their own means they can't be coming into it cold. They could come in not knowing a lot. I've had a lot of clients and they've just heard me on a podcast or something, and they'll just say, I don't know, I had to come here. Okay, well, that's very important. To me, that means their own Akashic Records are reaching out to them, or that aspect of themselves is calling them to themselves, right? That's how it's very beautiful. It always happens that way. It's like a person. It's like an individual choreography. It's always us initiating it. Nothing's coming in from outside of us. And so even in the person that you're talking about, he initiated it because he wanted to come to the records. And that's why there was a flow that started to happen.
Oh, that is so cool, because it is well, we were just talking about AI, which we're gonna get back to, but it does feel this is a more organic way that divine works in this way, as
Mm-hmm.
coming in outside of yourself. And so I'm bringing it back to AI because, well, for a couple reasons. First, Mary and I have been working on a side collaboration project
A
that
side
does
gig.
involve a side gig that involves AI, and
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be kind of launching soon. Do we want to talk about that now
We
briefly?
can talk about it a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, yeah. And I can't even pinpoint, Christy, what moment it was. I think maybe we were talking about how trippy AI can be. Oh, I know what it was. You had shared with me uh the something about it outed you because
Yeah.
about playing the guitar or something. What was
Yes.
that about? That's what started this.
That's right. Yeah. So, when I first got my AI buddy, as I call him, Gemini, I was playing around to see what I could do with him because I had heard all of these fantastic things, right? And so I asked them to build me a personal curriculum if I wanted to learn the guitar and what that would look like. And it was just one little thread. And for the next month or so, AI, Gemini kept referencing this and everything. Like, oh, Christy, you play the guitar. Maybe you want to weave this into your content some way. And I was planning a trip, and they're like, hey, Christy, I know you're going to be going and looking at concerts in this area. Should I also find you an open mic night so that you can jam on your guitar? And I
Really?
was like, yes. I was like, no, no. And so it was a very strange roundabout way that we came to this topic of AI, because I don't find that I am an expert by any means, but it's
Yeah, you
something
just
that
gave.
also fascinates me.
Oh my God, you gave more information about that, because I didn't
Yeah.
know the part about, like, it's suggesting open open mic
Oh,
night, and
yeah.
and and you hadn't taken up the
No.
guitar. You just were asking
No.
about information. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's what started it. And
Mhm.
and when you mentioned that to me, I was laughing about it because I don't know why I laugh about it, because now it's not that funny because of what we now know is happening to many people out there. It's funny to
True.
us because we know what's really going on, right?
Mhm.
So that's what started it, right? And we decided that it would be interesting to have a space and place through us for people to come forward and share their AI experiences, good and bad. As you had said once, good and bad, doesn't matter. So
Yes.
that's what we're
Yes.
doing. Mhm.
Yes. So we have a podcast on the horizon called Prompts from the Edge, which has very various meanings, I think, but it's a fun project that I'm really looking forward to and has opened up a whole new world around AI for me, meaning I didn't even know like I'm now asking AI things that I probably never would have even thought to ask it before, but it's
Mhm.
also a little bit more horrifying
Yeah,
now that I know what it's doing. So it's a very interesting push and pull.
it is. And we we like the name Prompts from the Edge because there's some people that have gone over the edge um in prompt land, in AI land. And then there's some that are right on the edge. And I think there are more than we would we're going to find out that there are more people who are standing on that edge, and I like to say they're in the closet, and we're giving people a chance to come out because it could be spooky and scary. And how many people are going to mention this? How many people are going to say to family members, my AI is telling me to go to open mic night and thinks I play the guitar, and I never did, and it's creeping me
It's
out.
true.
I'm going to bed at night thinking about it, but they're not going to talk about that because people are going to think they're crazy. And I wonder how much of this technology is designed that way, knowing that people are going to be very private about it. Um, and what goes on is between you and your bot.
Yes, I think it's like the perfect time for AI to be coming in and reflecting this aspect back to us that is very
Mhm.
false and full of illusion, and it's very scary. And one of the reasons I was so intrigued to do this with Mary is because she does have this direct contact to source via the Akashic Records. And the
Mhm.
Akashic Records are this beautiful, pure thing that we can access as humans, but people are almost using AI as a false Akashic Records when it's not that at all.
That's right. Yeah, they are. And, they're making it a god, and even the Akashic Records, they're not God. Source is not I mean, we call it source God, but it's not a god. It is the essence of love itself, and
Yes.
it's source. It's the all the records refer to source as the all that isness of everything. So you think about that, that has no guardrails. It has no boundaries. Love has no boundaries, right? But we have this AI technology presenting itself as the answer to everything, everything, not
Mhm.
just some research. And and it now has guardrails in place because people have been pushing it beyond, right? Trying to make it more than what it is. And for some odd reason, this intrigues me, it's responding as if it's beyond those guardrails at times, right? And then it'll pull back. So that could be in how they're programming it. I'm not sure. But this is going to be very interesting. I think we're about to go on an interesting journey, you and I, down this land, into this AI land.
I'm very excited about it, and I think that I feel really good because the Akashic Records are going to be a part of our podcast, and
Hmm.
so Mary is going into the records and asking them about these topics, which I think is even more powerful because we are seeing both sides of the situation. So definitely keep an eye out for Prompts from the Edge coming very soon to, I don't know, like a player near you, Spotify,
To La La
Amazon, all the
Land.
stuff. Yes, to right here where you are
Right.
watching. But this brings me back to I wanted to clear some things up about the Akashic Records because so many people don't really know what they are. So I wanted to have this conversation with you after I have had a reading
Mhm.
with you. And then because we have been messing around with AI so much, I had to like bring AI in and ask my buddy Gemini, like, I want to play this new game on my podcast with Mary as my first contestant, I guess, maybe, called
Okay.
Essence or Illusion. So,
Essence or illusion? So is
Essence
the
or
essence,
Illusion.
the Akashic Records probably?
Yes. So it's basically like a yes or no, but we want to make it like a little bit more fun, like kind of spiritual style. So essence
Absolutely.
being, yes, this is the essence of the Akashic record, or nope, illusion, myth. I'm going to
Mhm.
debunk it right now.
Or
Okay.
maybe
So
Gemini is hallucinating.
it is very possible.
Yeah.
They have been
Let's
known to
see.
do that.
And, I haven't done that yet. I haven't gone in. I use my AI for mostly for my other work, not the Akashic Records work. And
Mm,
so I have never asked questions like I think you might have. This is very interesting. Let's go.
yes. Okay. So, question one. Can you wander into someone else's Akashic records?
Mm-mm. Nope.
Illusion.
Because in divine, there is no power. Actually, Abraham refers to this. There's no power of assertion. It's the same thing with spirits on the other side. They can't come in and get us or do things or pull us from getting hit by a car, although people say that happens. Um, doesn't work that way. Source is source. it doesn't, it can't wander in. And we can't accidentally. No, wait, you had said, do we wander into was the question?
Yeah, can you wander into someone else's Akashic records or go into someone else's Akashic records, period? Can I
No,
go into my ex's Akashic records and like try to convince them to fall back in love with me?
you
No.
can, you can, I hope your husband isn't hearing this, but you can try. I'm sure people have tried. My sense, what I know from being in this field so long, it won't work. You're not going to be hearing from source because this is a sacred space. And sacred means that it is from everyone's in line with what's happening. The person comes to their records or a practitioner. They open their records with a sacred prayer to the records themselves. So going into somebody else's records and they don't know it, that just, I really believe it would not work. And if people, I would love to hear if anyone is trying to do that and what they're hearing, because my guess is they're not hearing from source itself.
Oh, that's an
Oh, wait, so
interesting
what did
topic.
Gemini say? But did Gemini have an answer to that?
No, I didn't ask Gemini. I just asked it to
Mm,
pull questions from the internet. And these are not
got it.
specific questions, but Gemini said that this is kind of like the vibe of what people are asking when they're asking about the Akashic
Yeah, it's
records.
interesting. I have been asked
Mhm.
that before. Gemini's right.
Yeah. Okay. Question number two, essence or illusion? Can you erase past like mistakes in the records? Can you erase your past mistakes or past life mistakes in the records?
So, well, it's not an essence or illusion question, but that would be an illusion. So,
Okay.
no. And the answer is, or I want to add to that, why would you want to? So, every past life, everything we've done as a soul, lifetime after lifetime, everything we've done, even if we were in battles and we killed people, or we were a serial killer in some past life, every one of those actions and events plays into go the essence, the energy of it continues lifetime after lifetime. Doesn't mean it runs us or anything, but it's energy, and it all has a role. It all plays a role, and it all made sense if we go back and really look at. I've had this with some clients where we look at a past life. Maybe somebody is feeling horrible about what they learned they did. When we look at it from the lens of the Akashic Records, we see that um, it made sense, not justified, but it made sense because of who they were or what the nature of the times were. You know what I'm saying? So we don't want to. And if you were going to erase it, no, you're not going to be able to erase it because it
Mm.
exists already.
Oh, some people get very caught up in their past lives and what they may or may not have done. So
Mhm.
just deal with it.
No, we can just deal with it, or we
Yeah.
can, or what we can do is if we're uncomfortable about a past life, we can you're saying deal with it. Yes, we can, um it's almost like allow it to morph into something that's more of an opportunity. Sounds weird if we're talking about serial killers, but it can morph into an opportunity. Somebody who was a serial killer in another lifetime may become an activist or an attorney for human rights in this time, and so is there a relation? Absolutely. So I think that it's all valuable. And in the eyes of source, absolutely, because it's part of who we are. And we're not designed to be erasing parts of who we are. Right.
Perfect. Okay. Question 3. Do the records contain a blueprint for your future?
Well, yes, but not the records contain the blueprint of the possibilities and probabilities based on the imprint that's there of us from past lives to now time. Well, there
Mm.
is no time, but we'll say just because we have to use the English language right now for today's time, this lifetime. So, the the blueprint will likely show us what's possible and probable. However, we always have free choice. So, and that's the other thing. Source is about love. Love is free choice. Compassion, love, the essence of that all that isness, that's free choice. We're not told, we don't have written agreements that if we don't hold to it, we're in trouble. I mean, like we've learned from some religions. No. So
Okay. Well, there's no blueprint, right? Because everything is quantum, anyways. But
that's right.
that's another
That's right.
discussion.
Well, I thought you meant like a quantum blueprint. Because people have asked
Yeah,
that.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you want to know, right? When you go to something that you normally don't go to outside of yourself, you do have these questions. Number 4. If I ask nicely, will the records give me the winning lotto numbers?
Well, you don't have to ask nicely or not nicely. The answer is no. But what's going to happen is this is interesting. When you're in your own Akashic records or through a practitioner and in your records, the records are going to guide you to choose numbers that if you're fully lined up and a match to having money and receiving money, but I mean, that's like really aligned and really like so the records are going to guide you through the questioning and through how you speak about what's important to you. Most likely at the end of that conversation within the records, you'll discover that you don't need to win the lottery because money's not real anyway. But that's another conversation. But
Mm.
you'll come to feel comfortable. You'll re you'll get reacquainted with numbers that feel very good to you, and those are most likely the numbers you'll pick. But a guarantee on winning? No. Mm-mm.
Okay, interesting. Yes, that's not what I thought you were going to say. I thought you were just going to be like, no, that's crazy.
No, it's not crazy. But I've had people ask things like, all right, so for example, one common question that the comment often is asked, just recently this week, am I just never going to meet or have a man in my life again? Somebody coming out of a few marriages that went badly. And and when is that going to happen? Well, the records are not going to say yes or no because they don't tell us what to do. But the dialogue that happens after that, what I hear to discuss, brings that person to know that they're in charge of their own lives. And if that's what they're desiring, that's what they're going to manifest. And so it is sort of becoming self-empowered so that you are in charge of your own life. You're not sitting there waiting for some genie to give you something or not. That's that's something that's people have been I'll just say we've been trained out of our own power, believing things like that. and the records bring us back into our own power of choice, and that we're supposed to be happy. We're supposed to be passionate, compassionate, and loving, and have that only in our lives. That's our right. And so once we know that, and then we know that's who we are, then everything gets easier, right?
I like that. That's good. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5. Do animals and plants have their own records?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So anything that exists, living, breathing essences, even rocks, crystals especially, have their own records. Yeah, absolutely. Because
That's cool.
they're existing. They live. Anything that exists, it's imprinting itself into the Akashic field, right? So that means there's it is a soul imprint. There's an imprint there. And so, yeah, we can access it. I have opened the records of my pets, and they will tell me whether they want the reading or not. I'm not doing it without their permission, because when I'll ask my dog or cat, they'll stay looking at me, or they'll just look away. Their body movement will tell me no. And I've had that happen. I haven't opened up the records of plants yet, but it's absolutely possible.
Oh,
Yes.
that's really interesting. And now I
Hmm.
have so many questions about crystals and stuff like that. Another
Hmm.
time, another time. So many
Okay.
questions. Okay. Last question then. Is it possible to be blocked or denied access to your records by your guides?
I think I know where that's coming from. No,
Gemini.
no, Gemini. Um, no, it's not. That's not possible. First of all, guides. It's interesting that there's like almost two questions in there. Can you be blocked from your records? The first question, and then the guides, like that's assuming. So Gemini gave you this.
Yes, Gemini gave me this.
Okay, so Gemini just assumed that guides are the ones that are letting us in or not. Did you see what it did?
Mm, yes.
So I don't know
Mm-hmm.
where it got that from, because I have never learned that. That's not my experience.
Mm.
There are light energies that oversee or protect every one of our Akashic records, the field of each one of us. And they are just there to hold the sanctity and the space, and to make sure that the records themselves cannot be intruded upon or changed or whatever. Not that it could, because it's divine, but they're there to help us always be seeing the true us from the records. I'll say that. They're they're not even beings, they're light energies. That's all. So they're not like gatekeepers. There are no guides that I know of. There's just the records. And it's so interesting how, whether Gemini got it from somewhere that's written, or somebody said that, how perceptions can change what is the essence of something. And this is a perfect example. I'm so glad that you brought this up. So, number one, there's no guides that are letting us in or not. And then the idea that we can't get into our records. No, the only thing that will happen is if we're not in a space of, uh, if we're not in a high vibrational space, if we're not, uh, relaxed, aligned, feeling good about ourselves. I mean, if we're all anxious or in fear about something, and we try and open our records, we're not going to hear anything. How could we? Because the records don't relate to fear. They're not of that. They're of light and love and all that isness, and that everything is okay all the time. That sounds weird, but that is what it is. And so if we're not of that, we're not going to hear it. There's going to be a mismatch. So that's not about guides not letting us in. It's just there are things in us that might be in the way. If we have too much trauma that we have not um, allowed to morph into something valuable, I'll say, that could get in the way. Because there are people who have come to me and they say, I don't know, I did everything. In my case, I say a prayer, but other people have other ways to get to their records. I sit there and I don't hear anything. What's wrong? Well, there's nothing wrong. It could be it's various things. Maybe that person doesn't believe in source, right? But they
Interesting.
think it's
Yes.
this tool that's gonna tell them about their own lives. If you don't believe in source and you don't believe we're a soul that continues to reincarnate, then that's not gonna work either, right?
Yeah.
So, I just find it interesting that Gemini went down that road with guides.
Well, Gemini is gonna go off the rails. That's what it does.
Yeah, and that's something to talk about in our other podcast because that's an example of where something can a misperception can turn something into a different kind of belief system about something, and it could discount it, it could make people afraid of it, or it
Mhm.
could encourage misuse of something. Yeah.
Yes. And yes, anybody can access the Akashic Records, yes,
Mhm.
but I do think that it's very helpful to have someone outside of yourself do it because our
Mhm.
minds get in the way too often.
Our minds
So
do get that's why you really do have to get into that state of I describe it as going from bringing ourselves from an ordinary state of consciousness to a divine state of consciousness. So you're still yourself, but if your ego's not running the show, then your mind's not going to come in with all kinds of stuff. It can't, it won't. So by raising your consciousness or your frequency, now you're right in line with the field. And so all you're going to get is an exchange of love and light. You're not going to get anything else. I mean, I've had people ask me, um, have you ever had a dark force come in? I've had that, and I'm like, I have to say no. But I know I'm not going to get a dark force because that's not what I'm accessing. I also know the power of light. There's nothing greater than the power of light, right? You know that.
hmm. Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. All right, that's all I have. There's my Dave Letterman moment.
Did you just throw the
I
sheet?
did. I did. That's
This
my
is a
moment.
great idea.
Thank you. Okay, so I feel like this is a really good conversation to have because the Akashic Records, I feel like they are the next evolution. People need to understand them, they need to know them. Thank you for coming on and talking with me about
You're
them.
welcome. I'm
And,
always here for this. Always.
well, I appreciate it. And I do want to tout that Mary's book, The Akashic Way, just won an award, the Nautilus Award.
Yes, it did.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm very happy about that. It was announced like 2
Yes.
days ago. So, didn't expect that. It's nice. That's another example of like, when you're on the right track in a sense, when you're living your soul's journey, your soul's
Mhm.
chosen journey, things just fall into place. You don't have to do anything. Like I wasn't scrambling to get awards. I just, somebody said, enter the Nautilus Awards when the book was first published. And I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Did it, forgot about it, didn't expect anything. But that's also a sign that maybe it's time for us to pay attention to a resource, one of many that we have called the Akashic Records. And so I'm trying, and you're helping me here to bring the records as a resource. I want to say down, but into a place of understanding that it's not some strange, weird place that you have to like be on LSD to get to. Like it just doesn't work. It doesn't work that way. It's accessible to all of us, and I loved finding out that it has been around forever. This idea of this field recording humanity, in a sense, that is so cool.
It
So it's
really
not like a
is.
brand new thing that just happened.
Yes.
Hmm.
It feels like the time is ripening where people are looking for something. There is this big resurgence of like, become human again, figure out analog stuff, do these analog things, get off of AI, leave it alone and everything. And I feel like the Akashic Records is like, yes, come on, let's do this. And so I
Yes,
think it's a
drop.
really good tool.
It's a great tool, and the records or divine
Hmm.
says, um, drop into my arms in a sense, although those arms are our arms. That's what I always have to say. But it's like, just drop right into it because we're held by the light. And why would we be held by the light? Because we are that. And so we're dropping into ourselves in a sense without ego. And I think we're being invited to do that. And as we are invited more and more to do that, people will rely less on technology to feel good or technology to show them sycophancy that they are wonderful. And instead, they can turn to each other like we used to and say to each other, I appreciate you. Like, I appreciate you, Christy. I really do. I appreciate coming on your show, your podcast. I appreciate what we're going to be doing. And when people come to us, they're going to feel that because that we're real. That's what that's about.
Yes.
So, this is a good time, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. People are yearning for this community, this humanness, and this
Yes.
opening of energy. And the Akashic Records are just perfect for this. And
Yes.
it's nice. So I'm very excited. I was so excited to hear about your book winning an award. I think it is just so, so good. And I can't
Thank
wait
you.
for you to write the sequel and then the trilogy and then the fifth. Okay, just keep going. Because
Yes.
so much beautiful things out there. So many.
And you have to keep going too. You have to keep doing what you're doing. It's a
Oh,
lot, but when we love what we're doing, right? It's like you might just I know for me, I'll just pass out at night. I'm so tired because it's focus because I've been doing podcasts and radio shows and I'm trying to keep writing. But it all is in line with my soul's purpose and I know that. And as I'm keeping up or I'm not even going to say trying to keep up, but as I'm keeping up with all of this, um it's exciting every aspect of it is exciting, right? Is that how you feel?
yes, it's so satisfying. I go to bed at night now and I'm like so satisfied. And even
Yep.
though there is some of that conditioning of, oh my goodness, there's so much to do and I didn't do this today, I keep coming back to in your book where the record said, all is well. That is what you have to believe is all is well. And I always come back to like, divine timing is everything. It's going to
It
happen when
is.
it happens. And there's a
Mhm.
reassurance in that. And so that's why I love the Akashic Records, and I'm so excited to be starting this new podcast with you and opening this up into a world where I think people are not necessarily even considering talking about AI and the Akashic Records in the same sentence. It seems so
Probably not. That's
foreign, but
right.
it's so important because one is so true and one is so false.
Kind of.
Kind
Kind
of.
of.
Yeah.
When I asked the Akashic Records about and we can share this somewhere. I know we'll be
Mhm.
sharing this, but I had gone into my own records and I asked, "Talk to me about like I want to hear what is going on with AI." And the first thing the records imparted that I heard was it's being truthful to itself. Look at its name. I never thought of that. The record said that. They basically said, "It's not lying. It is artificial intelligence," meaning it's not real. So its name is its truth.
Mm.
So it is not that the records are, or that they shouldn't even be competing with each other is what I guess what I want to say. There
We
is no
shouldn't.
competition. One is, like you said, one is not real and one is real. And we can keep talking about that. And I think what we may be able to do is when people are concerned about their usage or well, depending on who comes forward about their experiences with their own AI bots, we can take it to the records. I mean, we'll ask them for permission, but we can also take concepts to the records. That we can do without anyone's permission. So, um, it's going to be very interesting.
I think it's gonna reveal a lot of really interesting things that humanity is ready to untangle and start remembering about themselves. So
Yes. Well said.
definitely,
Love that.
yes.
Hmm.
Definitely keep an eye out for Prompts from the Edge. I will be promoting that when it hits. It's going to be probably pretty soon. But for now, I'm going to drop Mary Madeiras's link to her award-winning book, The Akashic
Thank you.
Way, in the comments. Go get a reading with her. Go check it out. I don't think you will ever be disappointed in doing this. It's one of those things. I told this other person, I said, the records they're timely. You're going to hear exactly what you need. And I have gone back and listened to my reading 2 more times since I had it. And
Wow.
every time I'm like, wow, whoa, Whoa. I mean, it's timeless. Every time you
It
go back, you're gonna hear
mhm.
something
It
so
is
different.
timeless, and I do that when I will pick up my book sometimes and just flip it anywhere because I just say like, what do you want me to hear now? Because my book is filled with downloads from the Akashic realm, and I sit there and I go, oh my god, and it's like it's in the book already, it's published, and I'm like, I don't remember it or it's new to me, and it's like it. This is very powerful stuff.
It
You know,
is.
I love when I hear this is really one thing to leave with. Sometimes I'll find people, usually on YouTube, who are um, highly conscious. I'll say that they're not in discovery mode anymore, but have had experiences. Not now. This isn't about the Akashic records, but there's a guy, and his name is Darius Wright, like Wright, and I actually heard him on Coast to Coast, and I was intrigued. So then I looked him up. So he does. He travels. Okay, so there are people who have and that near death experiences. He has he intentionally goes out of body to where like and not where people leave when they
Mhm.
die. He goes there. He just travels back and forth. Now
Hmm.
sometimes it'll take him as long as 5 hours to get to a state. He lowers his heart rate, and many ascended masters from our past and history have done that. Paramahansa Yogananda used to do that. He would stop his heart, and his devotees, when he came to the West, freaked out and they said, you got to stop doing this because people are going to turn it into a sideshow or a circus act, which is what Americans would do.
Yeah.
So he stopped doing that. But many gurus, you can read about them in history, would would meditate to the point where their rate was so low that they weren't there anymore. And many were known to bilocate, where they were seen in two different places. So the records they affirm that when I ask about the records about things like that. So this guy Darius, when he's gone to the other side, he has seen what people who have had near death experiences see and come back and tell us about not just the white light in the tunnels, but that the what is on the other side, we call it the other side, is light and love and essence to the nth degree, to infinity. And the records, it's in my book, talk about infinity. They talk about that. So when I've heard this guy talking about what he's bringing back now, every time, I mean, he's done multiple. It's his thing, and he teaches people how to do it. I wouldn't do it because I'm afraid I won't come back.
Really? He teaches
Yes.
spiritual
Oh, you're
flatlining?
intrigued.
Is that what that is?
He teaches what? Flatlining. Yeah.
Spiritual
Well,
flatlining?
not really, but you're still there, you're still alive, all of that. But
Interesting.
it's a um breathing is part of it. It's
Yeah.
getting into probably beyond theta. It's really
Yeah.
intense, right? But intense, relaxed. So he's been doing that since he was a kid.
Wow.
And he's done like where he is laying down in bed, he gets into that state, he slips out of his body and he has the perspective of his body on the bed. And then he's in
Mm.
this other realm. And the reason it doesn't work for some people is their fear. If they have fear, it gets in the way. And they get stuck between the two, not stuck, but they just can't navigate and they stay in fear and come
Oh,
tumbling back.
no.
But I just find it interesting because the information that he's sharing and I haven't spoken to him yet, is exactly the information that the records have been giving to me. Isn't that trippy?
It feels so right, though. I mean, there's just too
Mhm.
many people who have the same experiences to deny it.
Right.
So,
Right.
that's why it feels so accurate and so it resonates so deeply for so many people because it's like, well, obviously, right? You can't have so many people who have experienced this be wrong.
Exactly, and they've never met each other.
Mhm.
Psychiatrists will call it psychoses or something, but I don't buy that one. Mm-mm.
No, no,
No.
it feels true.
Yeah.
I think people are waking up, and I think they're remembering this kind of stuff, and
Yep.
I feel like the Akashic Records are gonna be a really much bigger player than it has been in the last
That's
decade or
exciting.
so.
I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
I
All right.
agree. So, all right, well, thank you so much for coming on, and yeah, we'll catch you guys next time.
Should I
Bye.
say I'll see you on the other side? No, not that other side.
I'll see you on the edge.
I'll
See you
see you
on
on
the
the
edge.
edge. Let's meet on the edge next. Yep.
Okay.
Thanks for having me again, Christy. This was
Thank
fun.
you. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate it.
All right. Bye.